What if the only thing you were ever truly afraid of was a shadow projected by your own mind, a phantom that vanishes the moment you turn on the lights? The ancient Stoics mastered the art of finding that switch. They understood that fear is an illusion, and perception is the weapon that dissolves it. This video will teach you their methods. Nothing to fear but fear itself. Stoic Lens Mind Control, compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. The illusion that fuels fear. Imagine a person trapped within an elaborate and disorienting house of mirrors. Every direction they turn, they are confronted by a distorted, grotesque, and terrifying version of themselves and their surroundings. The threats seem to be lunging from everywhere at once, and the path forward is obscured by 1,000 menacing reflections. The person's heart pounds with very real fear, yet in objective reality, there is only one person in the room, and a series of cleverly angled, warped mirrors. Their terror is real, but its source is an illusion. We all live in a similar kind of house. We are constantly confronted by fears that feel intensely real and solid. The fear of social judgment, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of financial insecurity, the gnawing anxiety that something terrible is just about to happen. The fundamental problem is that we mistake the reflection for reality. We react to the distorted, menacing images in our minds as if they were solid, external threats, without ever pausing to question the nature and quality of the mirrors themselves. Our fear is fueled by the deeply ingrained, unexamined belief that our perception of a thing is the thing itself. We exhaust ourselves fighting reflections. We make our life decisions based on avoiding phantoms, and we live in a constant state of anxiety, tormented by illusions of our own making. A transformative solution is to recognize and internalize the fundamental illusion that fuels almost all human fear, that our fear is not caused by external events, but by the perception, the opinion, the mirror of our own mind. It is the profound wisdom to stop fighting the terrifying reflections and to instead turn our attention inward to examine the nature of the mirror that is casting them. The Stoic writer Seneca famously wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This is the key. Fear is almost always a product of a fearful interpretation of events. The event itself, the upcoming presentation, the difficult conversation, the uncertain economy, is neutral. It is the lens of our perception, clouded by past experiences and negative assumptions, that colors the event as terrifying. By understanding this, we shift the entire locus of control from the chaotic, uncontrollable external world to the ordered, controllable internal world of our own mind. This realization is the master key that unlocks the door to the house of mirrors. It grants us the power to step outside and see the reflections for what they are: mere illusions, tricks of the light, thoughts, and nothing more. Fear loses its hypnotic grip the moment we understand that we are not afraid of the thing, but of our thought about the thing. To begin this practice, you must conduct a perception audit. The next time you feel a wave of fear, no matter how small or large, pause. Take out a journal or simply perform this exercise in your mind. Create 2 columns. In the first column, write down the objective, verifiable external event, described in the plainest language possible. In the second column, write down the story, the perception, the fearful judgment you are adding on top of it. For example, column 1, event. I have to give a presentation to my team tomorrow. Column 2, perception. I am going to stumble over my words. Everyone will think I am incompetent, and this will damage my career forever. You must learn to see the clear separation between these 2 things. As you practice this, you will begin to notice a vast, liberating space opening up between reality and your interpretation of it. This space gives you room to breathe, to think, and to consciously choose a different, more rational, and less fearful perception. You will feel a growing sense of freedom from the tyranny of your automatic negative thoughts. Your call to action for this week is to be the auditor of your own mind. Conduct a perception audit every time you feel the grip of fear. Learn to see the illusion, and you will begin to discover your freedom. We now understand the nature of the illusion. The next critical step is to learn how to actively use our perception as a tool, not as a source of torment. Our next lesson will reveal how your perception can become your greatest weapon or your most formidable shield. To master this essential Stoic art, subscribe to Stoic Power and join us on the path to fearless living. Lesson 2. Perception as a weapon or shield. Imagine two warriors preparing for the same battle. The first warrior looks out at the opposing army and sees only a terrifying, overwhelming force. His perception is a weapon turned against himself. It floods his body with fear, weakens his resolve, and convinces him that defeat is inevitable. The second warrior looks at the very same army, but through a different lens of perception. He sees not an overwhelming force, but a series of individual soldiers. He sees the tactical weaknesses in their formation, the overconfidence in their leader, and the opportunity for a strategic victory. His perception is a shield that deflects despair and a weapon that reveals the path to success. The external reality, the opposing army, is identical for both. The difference between terror and courage, between defeat and victory, lies entirely in how they choose to perceive the situation. The great problem we face is that we are often unconscious of the fact that our perception is a choice. We believe that we are passive observers of reality, that the world simply impresses itself upon us. We act like the first warrior, allowing our initial, unexamined, and often fearful perception to become our unshakable reality. We let our perception be a weapon that our own mind uses against us. A difficult project at work is perceived as an overwhelming threat. A critique from a friend is perceived as a personal attack. An uncertain future is perceived as a guaranteed disaster. This passive and fearful perception paralyzes us, making us feel like victims of circumstance, constantly on the defensive against a hostile world. The transformative solution is to seize conscious control of your perception and to learn to wield it as a powerful weapon in your own favor and a shield against despair. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, were masters of this. Marcus constantly reminded himself that it is not the thing itself that troubles us, but our judgment about it, and that this judgment is something we can suspend or alter at will. The core idea is that perception is an active, not a passive process. It is a tool. You can use it to frame any situation in a way that creates fear and helplessness, or you can use it to frame the very same situation in a way that creates courage and opportunity. The choice is yours alone. The benefit of mastering this skill is that it makes you the creator of your own psychological reality. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances, but the artist who can find the empowering perspective, the hidden advantage in any situation. Your actionable step is to practice perspective shifting. The next time you are faced with a situation that elicits fear, and you have already separated the event from your initial perception, you must now consciously search for an alternative, more empowering perception. Ask yourself this question: is there another way to look at this? What would a person I admire, a hero, a mentor, or a Stoic sage see in this situation? What is the opportunity hidden within this challenge? For instance, the initial perception might be, I lost my job and this is a catastrophe. The alternative perception, the Stoic reframe, could be, the universe has just freed up my time and energy, giving me a rare opportunity to pursue the work I have always truly wanted to do. You are not denying the difficulty of the event, but you are choosing to focus on the empowering interpretation. This practice of perspective shifting will feel like developing a new sense. You will begin to see opportunities where you once saw only obstacles. Your default mindset will shift from one of threat detection to one of opportunity seeking. You will become more resilient, more creative, and more courageous, because you will know that you possess the power to frame any reality in a way that serves you. Your motivational practice for this week is to be the second warrior. In every challenging situation, consciously choose your perception. Refuse to let your mind wield it as a weapon against you. Instead, fashion it into a shield of resilience and a sword of opportunity. We have now learned to wield our perception as a tool. But what about when we are faced with real, undeniable pain? How can we perceive hardship in a way that strengthens us? Our next lesson will teach the Stoic art of reframing pain as a form of preparation, a vital training for the soul. To learn this alchemical skill, make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Power. Lesson 3. Reframing pain as preparation. Consider an elite athlete training for a monumental competition. She pushes her body to its absolute limits every single day. She endures aching muscles, burning lungs, and profound exhaustion. From the outside, her daily life looks like a form of self-inflicted torture. But the athlete does not perceive this pain as suffering. She perceives it as preparation. Each moment of discomfort is a necessary investment, a deliberate stressor that is forging the strength, endurance, and resilience she will need to be victorious. She sees the pain not as a pointless torment, but as the very process that is building her into a champion. This is the Stoic lens through which we must learn to view all of life's inevitable hardships. The universal human problem is that we instinctively react to pain and difficulty with resistance and resentment. When we face a setback, a loss, or a period of intense struggle, our immediate perception is that something has gone wrong. We see the pain as a deviation from the path, an unjust obstacle that is preventing us from living a happy life. This perception turns us into victims. We feel sorry for ourselves, we complain about our misfortune, and we see the pain as a purely negative, destructive force that is weakening us. We are like an athlete who resents every lap she runs and every weight she lifts, seeing it only as pointless suffering. The transformative solution is to consciously and deliberately reframe every instance of pain and hardship as a form of preparation. It is the practice of seeing life's challenges not as obstacles on your path, but as the path itself. Every difficult task, every emotional hurt, every moment of struggle is an opportunity to train a specific virtue and to build your inner strength, just as the athlete builds her physical strength. The core Stoic idea here, championed by thinkers like Seneca, is that a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. The gods, he argued, do not coddle the people they love. They test them, they harden them, and they prepare them for greatness through adversity. By embracing this mindset, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of fate and start seeing yourself as a warrior in training. The benefit is that your suffering acquires a purpose. It is no longer a random, meaningless affliction. It becomes a vital part of your own heroic journey, the very fire that is forging you into the person you are meant to become. Your actionable step is to use the preparation frame. The next time you are going through a difficult, painful, or frustrating experience, you must pause and ask yourself this powerful question: what is this preparing me for? What specific strength or virtue is this challenge forcing me to develop? For example, if you are dealing with a difficult and unreasonable boss, your reframe is, "This is a perfect, real-world training ground for developing my patience and my ability to remain calm under pressure." If you are enduring a painful breakup, your reframe might be, "This is a necessary preparation for developing my self-reliance and for understanding what I truly need in a future partner." You are looking for the training hidden within the trial. This practice will fundamentally change your relationship with adversity. You will begin to meet challenges not with fear and resentment, but with a kind of determined curiosity. You will start to see your life as an epic training montage, with each difficulty making you stronger and more capable. Your call to action for this week is to be the Stoic athlete. When you encounter pain, frustration, or hardship, apply the preparation frame. Ask yourself what this pain is preparing you for, and then lean into the training with the heart of a champion. We now have a framework for perceiving pain as preparation. This requires an immense amount of mental control. Our next lesson will dive deeper into the core Stoic doctrine that to control your fear, you must first control your mind. To master this ultimate form of mind control, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 4. Control the mind, control fear. Imagine the ruler of a vast and powerful kingdom. The kingdom is prosperous and peaceful, not because it has no external enemies, but because the ruler maintains perfect order and discipline within his own capital city. He knows that if chaos, rebellion, and civil war are allowed to fester in the capital, the entire kingdom will be vulnerable to collapse from within, no matter how strong its external defenses may be. Your mind is that capital city. Your thoughts and impulses are the citizens. You are the ruler. Fear is an external enemy that can only conquer your kingdom if your capital city is already in a state of chaos and rebellion. To control fear, you must first establish absolute sovereignty over your own mind. The deep and persistent problem we all face is that we have abdicated our throne. We have allowed our minds to become chaotic, unruly places, governed by the mob rule of fleeting emotions, impulsive desires, and fearful, automatic thoughts. We do not rule our minds, we are ruled by them. Because our inner capital is in a state of constant civil unrest, we are incredibly vulnerable to the slightest threat from the outside world. A small piece of bad news, a minor setback, or an unkind word can instantly trigger a full-blown panic, because the inner kingdom has no calm, disciplined leader to restore order. Our fear is not a reflection of the size of the external threat, but a reflection of the lack of order within ourselves. The transformative solution is to reclaim your throne and to embrace your role as the calm, rational, and undisputed ruler of your own mind. This is the very essence of Stoic practice. It is the daily, moment-to-moment work of observing your thoughts without being commanded by them, of acknowledging your feelings without being overthrown by them, and of directing your focus with a firm and purposeful will. The core idea is that the mind is a tool, the most powerful tool in the universe, but if left untended, it becomes a weapon that turns against its owner. The Stoic seeks to master this tool, to train it, discipline it, and keep it sharp, so that it can be used to build a life of virtue and tranquility. The benefit of this inner mastery is true freedom and profound security. When you know that you are in firm control of your own capital city, you cease to be terrified of the barbarian hordes at the gates. You can face any external threat with composure because you know your inner kingdom is secure. Your actionable step is the practice of mindful command. This is a short daily meditation designed to strengthen your ruling faculty. For 5 minutes each day, sit in a quiet space. Your task is to issue a simple command to your mind. For the next 5 minutes, we will focus only on the sensation of the breath. Your mind, like an unruly populace, will immediately rebel. It will offer you worries, distractions, memories, and plans. Your job as the ruler is not to yell at the citizens or to fight with them. Your job is to calmly and firmly, again and again, redirect their attention back to the chosen task. Each time you gently bring your focus back to your breath, you are strengthening your authority. You are training your mind to be obedient to your will. This practice of mindful command, done consistently, will forge you into a true sovereign. You will develop the ability to direct your attention where you want it to go, which is the fundamental basis of all self-control. Your mind will become less of a chaotic marketplace and more of a well-ordered court. Your motivational practice this week is to reclaim your throne. Practice the mindful command meditation every single day. Gently but firmly, establish yourself as the wise and benevolent ruler of your own mind. We are learning to control the mind. A key part of this is controlling the stories we tell ourselves. Our next lesson will focus on the power of Stoic self-talk to build unbreakable endurance in the face of fear. To learn how to become your own greatest coach, subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 5: Endurance through Stoic self-talk. Imagine a long-distance runner in the final grueling miles of a marathon. Her body is screaming in protest, her lungs are burning, and every fiber of her being is begging her to stop. In this moment, the most important conversation in the world is the one she is having with herself. If her internal self-talk is one of defeat and victimhood, "I can't do this, it's too hard, I'm going to fail," her body will surely surrender. But if her self-talk is one of encouragement, discipline, and resolve, "One more step, you are stronger than this pain, remember your training, Then she can push through the pain and find a source of endurance she did not know she possessed. This internal conversation is the fuel that determines whether we collapse or endure. The critical problem we face when gripped by fear or enduring a long period of hardship is that our internal narrator becomes our worst enemy. Our self-talk turns toxic. We berate ourselves for our weakness, we catastrophize about the future, and we remind ourselves of all our past failures. We become our own personal tormentor, whispering a constant stream of discouraging and disempowering propaganda directly into our own ears. This negative self-talk is like pouring sand into the gears of our own resilience. It creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure, as our spirit is systematically broken down from the inside. The transformative solution is to seize control of your internal monologue and to intentionally cultivate a form of Stoic self-talk. This is the practice of speaking to yourself as a wise, compassionate, and demanding coach or mentor would. It involves consciously replacing the voice of the inner critic with the voice of the inner sage. The core Stoic idea here is that our words, even our silent internal words, have immense creative power. They shape our perception and dictate our emotional state. The Stoics were masters of the premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils, and other exercises that were, at their core, forms of structured self-talk designed to build mental fortitude. By consciously choosing the words you use to frame your experience, you can build yourself up rather than tear yourself down. The benefit is the cultivation of a profound and seemingly limitless source of inner endurance. You become your own greatest ally in the face of adversity, a constant source of strength, encouragement, and resolve. Your actionable step is to develop and deploy a Stoic mantra. A mantra is a short, powerful, and positive phrase that you can repeat to yourself when you are facing fear or hardship. It should be personal to you and should encapsulate a core Stoic principle. Examples could be, "This too shall pass. This is an opportunity to practice my courage. Focus only on what I can control." Or, borrowing from Marcus Aurelius, "The obstacle is the way." Choose one mantra that resonates with you. Write it down, memorize it. Then, the next time you feel fear or find your endurance waning, you must consciously interrupt the stream of negative self-talk and begin repeating your Stoic mantra silently to yourself. Repeat it like a drumbeat, letting it drown out the voice of fear. This practice will act as a powerful rudder for your mind, steering it away from the rocks of despair and back toward the open sea of resilience. It will become an automatic source of strength, a familiar and comforting voice of wisdom in the midst of chaos. Your call to action for this week is to be your own Stoic coach. Choose your mantra, and the next time you are in the final, grueling miles of your own personal marathon, use it to fuel your endurance and carry you across the finish line. We now have a tool to endure fear, but what about our fear of the worst-case scenario? Our next lesson will teach the advanced Stoic practice of detaching from the worst outcome, a technique that leads to true fearlessness. To learn this liberating skill, make sure you are subscribed to Stoic Power and share your chosen mantra in the comments below. Lesson 6. Detachment from the worst outcome. Imagine a tightrope walker who, before stepping onto the wire, has already made complete peace with the possibility of falling. He has accepted it. He has looked down into the canyon, acknowledged the reality of the danger, and has mentally rehearsed the fall. Because he has detached himself from his fear of the worst-case scenario, he is now paradoxically free to walk the rope with a calm, focused, and unburdened mind. His attention is not consumed by trying to avoid the fall. It is free to focus completely on the act of walking. It is this very detachment from the outcome that makes his success far more likely. This is one of the most powerful, albeit counterintuitive, secrets of Stoic fearlessness. The problem that keeps most of us paralyzed by fear is our intense, white-knuckled attachment to a specific, desired outcome and our desperate, fearful resistance to the worst-case scenario. We become so fixated on avoiding failure, avoiding rejection, or avoiding loss, that our minds are completely consumed by anxiety. This very attachment to avoiding the negative outcome is what creates the fear. We are like a tightrope walker who is so terrified of falling that he cannot stop looking down at the canyon, which makes his balance shaky and his fall almost certain. Our fear of the outcome sabotages our performance in the present. The transformative solution is the Stoic practice of negative visualization, or what is sometimes called practicing the worst-case scenario. This is not about being pessimistic or morbid. It is a highly strategic and logical exercise in emotional detachment. It involves taking the fear you have named and dissected and deliberately spending a few minutes vividly imagining that the worst-case scenario has already happened. You imagine the failure, the rejection, the loss. You allow yourself to briefly feel the sting of it, and then you walk yourself through how you would, in fact, survive it. You would ask for help, you would make a new plan, you would learn from the experience, you would endure. The core idea, as taught by Seneca, is that by familiarizing ourselves with hardship in our minds, we rob it of its terror and its power to surprise us. The man who has practiced poverty is not terrified of losing his wealth. The woman who has contemplated loneliness is not terrified of rejection. The benefit of this practice is a profound sense of liberation and fearlessness. By making peace with the worst possible outcome, you detach from it. And once you are no longer terrified of the fall, you are finally free to walk the rope with grace and confidence. Your actionable step is to conduct a pre-mortem. Choose a situation that is causing you fear. Set aside 10 minutes. For the first 5 minutes, vividly imagine that your greatest fear has come true. The presentation was a disaster. The business failed. You were rejected. Don't fight the feeling. Just sit with the imagined reality. For the second 5 minutes, begin to strategize your recovery. Ask yourself, okay, this has happened. What is my first step? Who would I call? What would I learn? How would I begin to rebuild? See in your mind's eye that you are resilient and resourceful, and that you would, in fact, survive. This practice will strip your fears of their ultimate power. You will realize that even the worst-case scenario is survivable, and that you possess a strength you did not know you had. Your call to action for this week is to be the wise tightrope walker. Conduct a pre-mortem on one of your fears. Make peace with the canyon below, and you will find the courage to walk the wire. We have now learned to dismantle fear from every angle. The final step is to integrate this knowledge into a foundation of character from which all true courage arises. Our final lesson will explore how courage is ultimately rooted in a state of inner order. To complete this journey to fearlessness, subscribe to Stoic Power. Lesson 7. Courage rooted in inner order. Imagine a perfectly constructed Roman arch. Its incredible strength, its ability to bear immense weight without crumbling, does not come from any single stone. It comes from the way all the individual stones are cut and placed in perfect relationship to one another, creating a structure where the pressure and weight are distributed harmoniously. The strength of the arch is a product of its inner order. True, unshakable courage is not a single quality you possess. It is like that Roman arch. It is the emergent property of a well-ordered mind, a mind in which all the parts, your reason, your perceptions, your values, your actions, are in perfect harmonious alignment. The final problem we face on the path to fearlessness is seeing courage as an isolated feeling or a heroic act that we must summon in moments of crisis. We think we need to find courage as if it were a lost object. This view makes courage seem rare, unreliable, and accessible only to a select few heroes. It fails to recognize that the spectacular acts of courage we admire are always, without exception, the result of a less spectacular, but far more important, foundation of inner discipline and order that has been cultivated over a long period of time. We see the heroic charge, but we don't see the years of quiet training and mental fortification that made it possible. The final transformative solution is to understand that courage is not something you find, it is something you build. It is the natural and inevitable outcome of a life dedicated to Stoic practice and the pursuit of inner order. It is the result of consistently applying the lessons we have discussed. Understanding your fear, using your perception as a shield, focusing on what you control, practicing calm, finding purpose in pain, and detaching from outcomes. When you live in this way, you are meticulously cutting and placing the stones that will form the unbreakable arch of your own character. The core idea of all Stoic philosophy is that the inner world is primary. A good life is the product of a well-ordered soul, and a courageous life is simply the natural expression of that inner order. When your mind is clear, disciplined, and aligned with virtue, courage ceases to be something you have to strive for. It becomes who you are. The benefit is a state of being that is not just occasionally brave, but fundamentally fearless, rooted in the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you have built an inner citadel that no external event can ever truly breach. Your final actionable step is the daily keystone practice. The keystone is the central stone at the apex of the arch that locks all the other stones into place. At the end of each day, take 2 minutes to reflect on your day and identify your keystone moment. This was the moment where you successfully applied one of these Stoic principles. Perhaps you chose to reframe a negative thought, or you held the line with reason, or you consciously detached from an outcome. Silently acknowledge this small victory. Say to yourself, "Today I put one stone perfectly in place." This is not an exercise in pride, but in reinforcing the habit of building. This daily practice will make the cultivation of inner order the central project of your life. You will see with growing clarity how each small, virtuous choice contributes to the overall strength and beauty of your character. You will be building your own Roman arch, stone by stone. Your call to action is to be the master builder of your own soul. Begin the daily keystone practice tonight. Recognize and honor the small acts of inner order that you perform each day. For in the building of that inner arch, you will find the source of all true and lasting courage. You have now been given the Stoic blueprint for deconstructing fear. By understanding that fear is an illusion fueled by perception, and by systematically applying the principles of mind control, detachment, and inner order, you can dismantle any anxiety. This is the path to replacing fear not with bravado, but with quiet, unshakable courage. Thank you for your dedication to this journey of self-mastery. If this video has provided you with a new lens through which to view your fears, please honor the wisdom by liking, commenting, and subscribing to Stoic Power for more tools to build a resilient and fearless life.